about my love, y'all.
Welcome everybody. Here we are once again, live and direct.
Once again, I'm Malika.
It's Amani. How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on, baby? What you got up for the weekend?
It's been a long morning, so I'm coming in
Came
here
in,
on
came
some,
in hot.
on some, oh my goodness. Oh, all things PhD, all things motherhood, all things student loans. This is just, it's a whirlwind,
Hey,
folks. It's
hey.
a whirlwind.
Hey, be honest about where you're at in the world. Always, show up however you are, and that's how you gotta be.
You got to know. It's a lot to manage, but we get through it. We stay present.
I sensed that, and it's hard it's impossible to ignore, like, when your partner gets in the space of dysregulation or stress, and for me it's hard to, like, not feel that and want to do something about it to the best that I can. And sometimes that's not the right approach, but I just hear you. I know you're going through life. Life is lifing, to say the least.
Life is lifing. Now this weekend, what we got up? Hot yoga, baby. I'm in that piece. I mean, it's so nice because hot yoga has this way of, like, ameliorating all that could be going on in my head. And it just is, like, so lovely because it's so relaxing, and it's so challenging that you don't even have the time to think about, like, all those things that might be coming up in terms of just life and lifing. Like, you are, like, struggling to stay in these well, I am, let me speak for myself. It's a really challenging workout, so I have to focus on that pose, on that position, on increasing my balance. Like, those things are very helpful for me to, like, be able to just focus on that, and maybe not all the things. But yeah, we got that up for the weekend.
So on that, like, so it's one of those things. It's, like, so difficult. It forces everything else to fall away, so you can just be there with the difficulty, like,
Yes.
there with the sweat, the like, urge to, like, to actually drop the position and the pose, the posture. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things like that I'm drawn to as well. For me, it's more so along the lines of, like, adrenaline and things that are, like, a little bit dangerous. Not like daredevil status or anything like that, but just
risky.
Risky's the
Risky,
word.
yeah.
It pulls you into the now. Like,
Yeah,
get
brings
here
you into
now.
the presence. Yeah, so both of these things are along the same lines. They're bringing you into the present moment in,
Right.
like, a way that, like, yes, we approach it differently. Yours maybe with more adrenaline and more, like, sensation seeking, more risk taking. Mine is more of, like, the pose itself is so challenging, such that if I don't focus on that thing, if my mind is in 100 other places, that I will certainly lose that position, or I won't be challenging myself in the way that I'm there to do. So yeah, I think we're both talking about a very similar thing here, but we approach it differently.
So you need some hot yoga in your life, like, now.
Oh yeah.
So when you
yeah.
when you don't have access to it, like, now, what's another thing that you can do for yourself to bring you more in the present?
Great question. Podcasting.
And
And it brings you into the presence because, like, if I'm not here right now with you having this discussion, I'm doing all those other
where
things,
are you?
right?
And it's easy to get caught up, especially when you're on candid camera.
There you go.
Hey.
You got it.
Got him. You remember that show back in the day?
I sure don't.
Oh, baby. See, Candid
No.
Camera was a great show. It always confused me about the word candid. I didn't really know what it meant. But it was a show where they basically, like, staged all these cameras in public places, and then they would go in and create very awkward or, like, morally questioning behaviors around random strangers, and then see how they would react. Oh, it was golden. And they had, like, a classic kind of media persona or personality who was the host. I don't know his name, but you would probably recognize him if you saw him. And he did a great job hosting, and he would come in and be this warm presence for people to really, like, because it would get super emotional at times. Like, people would, like, let me try to think of one. Like, people would there would be actors that would go in, infiltrate like a coffee shop, for example, and go in and just do something very rude. They'd like be berating the barista or something. Then just see how are people gonna just stand by and just watch what unfolds, or are they going to pull their cameras out and start doing their own little video? I think nowadays that probably would be a lot more common. But then there were these heroes that would emerge out of nowhere that would literally just take it upon themselves to rectify this asshole or whatever, or whoever it is that's being way out of pocket. And so, it was a great show. Some reason I don't know how my mind got to that. But
you watched that when you were a teenager? Just a question. I don't know this one.
Basically, I was in my 20s. It wasn't that long ago.
Okay.
It wasn't all that long ago.
Okay, it's some time.
A little bit of time ago. Yeah.
But anyway, what you got up for the weekend?
Oh, it's daddy duty all weekend, baby.
Oh,
At least
yeah.
Saturday. So one thing that we can bring the people in to know on is we have adopted a strategy that was gifted to us by a few different sources, but most notably my homie Tony and his ex-wife Malika, and they would just switch on and off. And even from other sources as well, we've seen people do this thing of like, trading to where you can really get some semblance of a sweet escape and some remembrance of like, oh, wait a minute, my whole life is not being a dad. There's actually time.
I have this identity outside of parenthood. Who knew?
It's easy to forget. You get so wrapped up in it.
Yeah. It is so, it's all consuming. So you have to, what we know and recognize is that if you do want to have some sense of self-identity outside of your role as a parent, you have to actively choose that. It doesn't just happen. You have to be strategic and intentional, because otherwise that is actually all that you will do, because being a parent doesn't end, right? You're in that role 24/7. So you have to intentionally break away from that role and the demands of that role if you are interested in doing anything else for yourself. Even considering just working, like if you choose to work during the work week, you're choosing to take time away from your role as a parent to do said work.
Isn't that
crazy?
So
that your role is still there, but you're still you're choosing to do something else during that time.
So it's like you start almost looking forward to work in a way as a parent, because that becomes the sweet escape. It becomes the one thing outside of parenthood that sort of is a touchstone of remembrance of I have an identity, like you said, outside of parenting. And it's so necessary because we can't even begin to get into a space of like connection from a relational standpoint until we at least have a certain semblance of like fullness of self-care for our own self, and that time to fill up, to remember who I am. How can I remember how I am in relation to you without remembering and really acting in and taking time to be just by myself? Yes. Like that's a thing that's so needed for parents, especially like alone time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like you have to learn to remember to be in relation with yourself.
Right.
And so, I think, you're bringing up such a great point. And also, another thing is I was thinking back to like those earlier years with Indigo and really thinking that like working was almost like a vacation time, because it literally like it's so different. Like the work of parenting is so much more demanding, specifically for a woman who's breastfeeding. Like that is a all-consuming job, like physically, mentally, emotionally, physiologically, biologically. You're just going through so much. So having work was like, oh, this is vacation time. But now Indigo's a little bit older, so I can see it different. I see the challenges are different, still there, but different.
So different. That's worth acknowledging for sure. We'll have to, I want to talk more about that offline just because it just came to me now. Like, it's so easy to stay stuck in the present challenges and to feel the heaviness of them over and over again. Like, because you're just sort of ruminating with the same every day. Like there's so much monotony in parenthood. It's the same thing, largely the same things the child's trying to learn at that point, and the same behavioral issues. And it's such a slow evolution into the next phase that by the time you're there in the next phase, you didn't even know it's a new phase. It is. And you forgot all that you overcame before. And you definitely end up feeling like I don't know, it's hard to explain this distancing and this almost like amnesia that you go into as a parent when when if you can step back a minute from time to time and just remember like all the things you've already accomplished, all the growth that your child's had on account of your presence, and that can big you up a little bit to help you kind of fight through and push through
Totally.
the present reality, because it's all phases. And when you do look back, it's usually it's typically like you barely even remember the difficulties. You just remember those rosy moments, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting arc that we're on in year number 5 of our parenting journey.
Yes, year 5. Wow. Has it been that long? All right, baby. Well, what do we want to have on our agenda for today? Because I know we have some juicy topics to address.
Got that juice. So speaking of juice, that's actually a nice little transition, baby, because you've been talking about drinks. You know, this is just something a little bit light. Current drink fixations. Like, what is it that, you know, as adults, we start to, and again, I don't want to just make this a parent episode, but that's our life, let's be honest, largely. And we often like have to find little things that can bring us peace in our day, or things that bring us like comfort and nourishment. And sometimes that's just a simple drink, not necessarily alcohol, unless that's your stilo. But like for you this is a big thing for you. It's verged on addiction to caffeine, but it's also, I recognize as I'm starting to explore it a little bit more myself, just how like liquid in general and water specifically can be so purifying, and it can really give you, depending on the energy that you put towards it, it can give you a whole sense of renewal with every sip in a way.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh yes.
And so tell me what drinks are really like hitting for you nowadays?
Para mí, café. So for me, coffee. Because, let me tell y'all, I need that little boost. And so it's not just probably the drink fixation itself that I'm drawn to, but the process of getting the drink. And the process of going through the drive-through line. And
hold on, time out. You enjoy the drive-through line?
Yes. I'm typically by myself, or if I'm not by myself, if I'm with Indigo or if I'm with you, I'm doing that thing only for myself, right?
Okay.
Like,
I can
so
get that
I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for Indigo. I'm choosing to like actively do this thing that's
it's
for
like
myself.
and even a rebellious act at times. 'Cause sometimes it's disruptive to what we got going on.
And that might be adding something to it.
So what?
Yeah.
I'm getting this nitro.
I'm inconveniencing someone else for myself.
Say
you
that.
know? And like sometimes you have to do that. And I won't even say sometimes. Mothers have to do that. Because one thing I will tell you is a father is going to do that.
Are we doing that?
I mean, you just tend to be more about self. And so mothers,
as we need to be. We need to be.
Look at how these dads are out here constantly prioritizing themselves before.
For you. I prioritize me for you. You don't want me out here only on some martyrdom, trust me.
Okay,
let the mothers know. Y'all don't want us out here putting everyone
to,
else before us.
And
okay.
let's take
She
an
bringing
investigation
the notebook
of
out.
the morning time routine.
Here comes the receipts.
Here it comes.
Oh, shit.
Every morning, my goal is to get Indigo ready for the day. So I wake up and I immediately attend to the multitude of needs that Indigo has, which is breakfast, which is clothes, all the things.
I know where this is going.
We know what we have to do for
There's
our
a lot.
children
There's a lot of routine.
when they wake up in the morning.
Right.
What's Amani doing when Amani rolls out of bed? Straight for the flute. Let me go find my flute and hit the balcony. No. Because that's what I'm doing.
You tell me your routine through your lens. Tell me mine, and then I'll tell you yours through my lens, and I'll tell you mine through my lens.
So you're saying tell.
So keep doing what you're doing.
I'm just saying we have two very different priorities in the morning, and it's just very clear that this is just a small example of like a dad is going to choose to do what they need to do for themselves before anyone else. So potentially, I think that you would eventually, like on the weekends, get to what you need to do potentially for Indigo, right? Like
Of course.
after
you
you've
can't make that
done-
broad statement
On
because
the
you know good
weekends.
and well that
On the
there's many
weekends.
sacrifices made by fathers as well.
Absolutely, but I'm saying like I'm specifically talking about
Keep
the
it-
morning
keep it the
routine.
morning. Keep it
so
the
this is a
morning.
very isolated
Okay. I'm with you. I'm rolling.
period
I'm rolling.
of time.
I'm
Like,
rolling.
nothing else. I want to be very clear about that, especially Amani is like one of the I have never met a father like you, like who is as actively involved and present in your child's life.
Thank you, baby.
So I'll start with that. But the morning routine, this is one place where I will say your needs are always going to come before Indigo. Let's just leave it here. Indigo would be late to school every single day.
She wouldn't be in
It-
school
she
probably.
would-
She'd be
wouldn't be-
homeschooled. She would be
yeah.
homeschooled by accident.
Yes,
You
yeah,
know,
yes.
by default.
So I'll just
So
leave it there.
I got okay. From my perspective, that child wants nothing to do with me 99% of the time, unless I'm like in full like Monty, like geeked up. I'm in my child mind, and I'm like really ready to just play and have fun and give her piggyback rides and chase her around the whole apartment, whatever. Then she's interested. That's 0.5% of the time. The 99.5 is what's mama on? Where's mama at? And so I've made attempts. Like this is year 5. Remember, there were attempts. Often phases where they were half-hearted, but nonetheless still present. Where I would be trying to get up with her, and she's no. She's mama. I only want mama. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
over and
okay.
over again. Mama this, mama that. And so still I would persevere, and still I would find a way to make it fun. The other caveat for me is I am 2 people in one. There's me who's awake at least an hour after my eyes have opened. That's one me. From that point on, an hour. And then there's the me who's in basically still like I enter this kind of like, it's almost like a reptilian monster space in the morning. For the first hour I'm awake until I've had a chance for my body to catch up to wherever my mind, like I astral project at night. So I literally go travel different dimensions. I'm visiting ancestors. I'm doing a lot in my sleep. I'm using that time. And so when I come back to this realm and I hear Indigo's little pitter-patter footsteps come up to the bed, and she's, I want grits. I want grits, Daddy. I'm hungry. And I'll get her that, you know. But then as soon as she gets whatever it is that I can provide for her in the realm of food, she wants nothing else to do with me. And she's right away rushing to you to wake you up and to get your presence. And so that's kind of a part of it. The other part is I don't get filled up the same way you do by that. And this is not one I can really speak on, because this is where there's a grave difference, and there's like, it's not really fair for me to speak on the things that you love about being a mother that I may not feel as enthused about from a father perspective. Like I can compartmentalize really well and decide like this is like dad time. For you, it seems like any time that you can be in a mom mode, you want to be. And then sometimes that overlaps and it becomes like you'll do that to the point where resentment builds simultaneously with you filling up that need and want and desire to be there for your daughter. And those two clash at times. And where do I fall in the mix? I stand somewhere in the middle of that. And we've learned to navigate that through humor and through like lightheartedness, but it's a reality that has to be addressed, because it's not easy for me. It's a confusing space to be. Do you want to do this day in and day out? No, you don't, but you kind of do. And it's confusing. So what I do is I just get up and I'm just around and available. You notice, like I'm still up. I'm out on the balcony with my flute. I'm doing my Falun Gong. I'm doing Tai Chi. I'm doing whatever it is that needs to rush me out of that Neanderthal space that my mind goes into for the first hour. And then if she does pop in, and like this morning when she got her shoes on, wanted to come out with me, then I'm there. I'm still there. So I'm just trying to shoot myself off the bail right now. I'm just slowly just laying the bail on myself so that I can escape out of this sort of like
topic
lion's den that I feel like I'm in right now, speaking for dads in the morning. Jesus, can we get Can we get a break?
No, you cannot.
No breaks.
No
That's a
breaks.
fantasy land. If you think you got a break as a parent, you're living in a
Then you're
fantasy
not,
world.
then you're not a parent if you thought you had one.
No breaks. None for you.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think we got nice and deep into that.
So yeah, so dang, coffee brought us there. Yeah, so
Mhm.
you love your specifically just. We won't even say where you get your drinks because they gotta start paying us.
Yeah, so
before
we
give
don't need to
some
talk
ads out.
about where, but I do
Just
like
café.
a
Ella
cafe
quiere
a couple
café
times a
mucho.
day.
Sí.
Mucho cafe. Y another thing is that I also, so it's like those kind of things where I see you get to do these things like where you're around, but maybe not actively involved with like the parenting tasks of like we
Mhm.
need to do this thing and that thing. And like this is one where it's like I'm choosing this completely for myself. I don't even care how it's affecting like our
Yeah,
time,
right.
what we could be doing. Like it's just this thing that I actively choose for myself.
Good for you. I
Um,
I really celebrate that for you.
Oh.
And as much as I give you a hard time about it, I see the value of that.
Mhm.
And the only reason I ever am saying anything negative about it is because of the gut health implications, and that it does have. It's been advised to just decrease the amount of caffeine because you are on a gut health journey, and that really matters to you,
Yes.
and it matters to me and our family. So
So
those are
next
things.
time you all will see my new drink that I will be trying to incorporate as part of my gut health journey. That has some of the same effects as caffeine, but I don't think there's actually any caffeine in it.
Mm.
And
So hold
it
on.
doesn't come with any like jitters. Like you won't jitter. Like it doesn't have that same impact that caffeine has.
But it gives you
Um,
energy still.
But it gives you energy, and it doesn't have the same crash. And
Stay
I'll
tuned,
just
y'all.
save the
Yeah, the reveal.
allure and reveal of that for next time.
Mhm.
But Amani, tell us about your drink fixation.
Mine's very lightweight. I haven't. So I was a cigarette smoker for 20 years or something like that. Just love fire, love smoke, love everything to do with that incredible element that is fire. And so I was always reaching for the cigarette. It was a huge part of my identity for a long time. And thanks to actually your encouragement, thanks to becoming a father and sort of like realizing how I'm just not living from only myself anymore, that people rely on me now, and that there's people who are affected by my presence here on the planet. I guess there were before as well, but never like to the degree that there is when you're a father and a partner. And so I gave that up, and now, of course, I am a regular participant and one to I'm trying to think of a creative way to say I smoke weed, but mainly like I have a lot of reverence for that incredible plant that is marijuana, and she's just a part of my whole wellness program, and certainly part of what allows me to be more of a present father. I'll say I'll go on that ledge and say, like, if you can just take a hit of some really powerful flower and maybe even put some blue lotus in, and you'll just enter a state of like surrender. Cat Williams said it back in the day. It gives you like a sense of like this thing, like just fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Just like whatever it is that you think is so important, it's not.
Yeah.
Just be here now, enjoy this Mary J, and soak it in, soak in the essence. So that is my main. It's not a drink, but that's like the thing that I
Like a
reach to if I
fixation.
not even a fixation, more of like a miracle. It's a miracle in my life.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
serves as a
yeah.
miracle in my life because she just allows me that remembrance of who I am. Like all of these
Yeah.
things that we talk about, I think anything that you ingest, anything you put in your body, ultimately at the core, you can get there in your own mind, and it's just a shortcut. You know what I mean? And right now it's important to just utilize whatever tool I can, and that seems to be the thing that brings me into more presence. So But as far as drinks go, you have had just y'all has had a huge influence on me with this whole regular trips. I'm finding myself at coffee shops all the time, so I'm like, maybe I'll start sampling some things too, you know. And of course, I like coffee, but I don't have the same like compulsive reach for it. It just doesn't do the same thing for me. I like to stay hydrated. Water is my main stilo. I would say that
Coffee shops are great third spaces. So, I mean, I
What does
can
that mean?
understand it. A third space is somewhere where you can go that's like not home and not work. And that's where people tend to spend, well, in the West and probably in other places too, spend the majority of their time at home and at work. A third space is a coffee shop or like potentially a library is another third space. Like a space where you can be in the public. It's
Yeah.
not your home. It's not your workplace. But you might you find a sense of maybe community there. Maybe you're out in the world like experiencing other people, experiencing the public in a way that is not in your home and not in your work. So
Oh, I love a third space. I didn't know that term, but I love a third space.
Yeah.
There's something that really energizes me about being in a place where no one knows me per se, but we're all here being productive, we're being creative, and it doesn't have anywhere near the same weight of like an office, typically. And I don't know why. I think it's because I can come and go as I please. It's probably a big part of that.
Yeah,
But I love a third space for sure. Okay, so yeah, when I've been in those third spaces, mainly just hitting the drive-through, but I have come to really love matcha. I've been on matcha with some espresso shot inside. It's just like...
And y'all, I was telling Amani that he didn't know that like that's like a viral drink that people love. Like I see that on TikTok all the time. He didn't know that, and
I be
he's not-
tapping in.
He be tapping in. He's not on TikTok like that, seeing what the most viral thing is. So I
I
was like,
started
wow,
that.
like
You
that.
didn't. So you didn't even. I started that.
Oh,
You didn't even
it
know.
began with you.
I started
I
it.
see.
I mean, what came? We don't know what came first because I had
Yeah.
that idea, and all of a sudden you started seeing it on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know.
I
So
know.
hey.
I mean, I saw it there first, but and then
Okay. Did you?
yeah, I did. I really did. I
What
was like
about-
starting to see like.
What
just the
about when you saw me try to put some strawberry in the matcha?
I had seen that on TikTok and I saw that it was like gaining virality.
See, there's
And then I
something-
was like, what? And Amani's just drawn to these things without, like, literally just inventing different drinks without even realizing that, like, oh, this is actually very popular.
It's
And
not
you-
me. It's not even. I think it's not just me. I should say. I think there's some. We stumbled into something here because I think this is a long-standing human condition and superpower, I guess you could say, of the collective, where when something is dope enough and it has like hit a certain level of, like for even for one person, if they come across something that puts their mind in a high enough frequency of enjoyment, of pleasure, of fulfillment in some capacity, I think something, or just solving a problem, I think it's like thoughts have the ability to lift and move and travel beyond mediums like film, music, radio, telephone. I think there's like another realm where thoughts are passed and transmitted. Case in point, back in the day before the internet, you wouldn't remember this. We had Nintendos, like the original Nintendo.
64.
Like, incorrect.
Oh.
No, there was Super Nintendo before that, and then there was just Nintendo. Maybe I'm missing something. But as far as the TV console, I'm not going to allow your eyes to glaze over too much with the Nintendo game space. But they had these cartridges for the games. Then you would basically just jam them into the thing. Hold on. Oh, because he had an older sister.
Well, we had a 64.
The 64 was a cartridge too, wasn't it? Okay, so yeah, same idea with the 64. All the systems up to that point were those, and you blow them up. And then even the upgraded version in the shirt. If that didn't work, you put it in the shirt and blow it in.
Yes.
You know, and a harmonica, that joint.
Yes.
And it worked every, like 100 out of 100 times it worked.
And how is this like just known
That's what I'm
across
saying.
time and space?
I mean, you know me, I traveled my whole childhood moving
Yeah.
around state to state. All the places I went, people were doing this. Somehow the knowledge spread.
And it's international too, because we started to notice it with Indigo being in
Right.
Costa Rica, and they're picking up on the little trends and things that like
Right.
the U.S. is currently doing right
Right.
now too. It's just, it's so
It's the
interesting.
hundredth monkey thing that they talk
don't know.
about. Have you heard of that? I might butcher this. I don't know it. It's been like passed along to me, probably kind of like whatever that music game is, a secret game where you get in a circle and you telephone. It's kind of like that. The knowledge came to me about that because I don't remember all the details of the 100th monkey experiment, but it's something along the lines of where they took like a certain amount of monkeys and taught them some skill. And after a while, they noticed after a certain number of them had learned that, the whole region of monkeys was now exhibiting that behavior and that learned skill. And so literally this is science on some level. Maybe it's quantum physics, something in the quantum realm of science. But what we do know is that we communicate beyond words through energy, obviously, right? Of course. So, but what's the distance? Where does that, is it just when our energy bodies are in close proximity, or does that extend out into some other field? The quantum field is where I think if something has lifted someone up to the degree that their frequency has been raised and now they feel like so filled up, whatever, enter the emotion that it could be, but it worked for them in some capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
Then it's going to now, by some force, be pushed out into the field, and now it's going to drop down in someone else who's also experimenting with that same thing. So anyway, all that to say, that's what happened with the strawberry matchas and with the espresso matchas.
Yes.
I don't know if I invented them or not. I just know Starbucks needs to start paying me. That's all I know.
Well, okay, at Starbucks.
All right.
All right. Well, on to the next topic. And Amani, let's get an update on that cooking journey of yours. And we don't even want to call this the Amani cooking journey because this is the family cooking journey. Let's be honest. And we got to give ourselves a little dap up on this.
Time out. That sad horn was just because it's, you know what, let me give it the real energy. Let me give the real energy. The only reason for the initial want was because I didn't do a lot of cooking this week. You did. I did the organization. Like I got the plan. I put together the list of ingredients. We got them.
It's a family involvement. So maybe it's not Amani's cooking journey, but maybe it's the family's cooking journey because we're all evolving together.
We started family
process.
Dinners. We started family dinners. Finally, we've been trying. And guess what? Our daughter really loves it. She even the second day, because we're new in our apartment, and so we're still getting furniture. We don't have a table yet, so we're just eating on the floor for right now. And I have my massage table in there, but that's not really a great spot for family dinner. So we were just in Indigo's room, just eating on the floor, very intimate. You know, it was like a warmth. It was like, it was a moment. Like it was really just like, we were just chopping it up, talking, getting to kind of see her in a space of rare stillness. This girl is constantly go at all times, but she took a moment to just be with us there.
Yeah, and I really thought like she was investigating what was on our plates and was like seeing like how we were eating. She was studying us. I was recognizing, and she does that a lot. But she usually does that while she's in activity. So she'll be like mid movement, like she just doesn't stop moving. She's a very active child. So
dancing.
She's twirling, singing at the top of her lungs. Like there sounds coming from everywhere. So like she's just constantly in motion, and so she's always studying. Even in the midst of that, she is studying us. But in this case, she was just sitting
about 15 minutes straight, observing, asking us questions about the food. And
she really loved that she got to pick the topic. We thought that it'd be a nice idea to kind of circle through different topics.
I'm sorry, I turned that down. Say that again.
We thought that it'd be a good idea at family dinners to allow each of us to have a topic each evening. So we go between Indigo, Mom, Dad. We each get to choose the topic of conversation and then kind of let it go from there. She loved that. That was her jam. She loved that because then the following night she said, "Can I pick the topic again?"
She remembered.
Yeah, she sure did, and she's the one who invited us to sit down for the dinner meal. Right. So it's so interesting when you bring these things up and then you see what your child's drawn to or what they love to do, and kind of her encouragement of that was just really fun to see and really exciting to know that she loves that that kind of presence with us in that
Which
way.
is new. I'll say back to what we were talking about a little bit ago, the phases and the evolution. There was a time, we've tried this before. It's not like this is a brand new attempt. We've tried it, and it failed miserably because she turned into a ballerina while she was
Instantly.
eating. You know what I mean?
And it will happen again. So
yeah, it kind of depends on the vibe, but I think with consistency is going to just become a natural sort of expected part of the evening, part of her night routine. And it really connects us in a way that's unique. It connects us to the food and the nourishment of that food. And like, it's just so much of my childhood bonding with my siblings and my mom was around meals. You know, it's something it's a sacred, ancient thing that brings us together, gathering around food. And so we're going to keep that going, but that does require, again, just like dedication and prioritizing and sacrificing other things that we could be doing in that time. And that's going to keep going. There's only, when this girl gets to be a teenager, that's where the real test is going to come.
Yeah.
With the dinner, family dinners.
Definitely. Like in terms of her actually showing up and wanting to be there and be participatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be just like a continuation of having those conversations. I think inviting, like, if, you know, at the dinner table, one thing I heard is like, if you're going to be at the dinner table, you can't be boring. So you got to come to it with like, you don't some stories, like, and like, don't come with like mom and dad just saying, how was school today? And they go, but like, maybe you start some improv. Maybe you start, you say something really funny and then see where it goes.
Right.
So it just kind of, I think in that stage when she's a teenager, kind of inviting that more interesting, interactive kind of conversation can draw her in potentially.
Oh, 1,000%.
And especially with her being a musical theater kid already. And one thing I will say is I saw you snack on something over there. What was that? Yeah. Let's get into it. What was that grab?
Wait a minute.
What was that grab?
Wait a minute.
Share that grab, Amani.
What just happened? Why am I being put on prosecution right now?
It's not prosecution.
Well,
it's just like share with the peoples.
Well, I just took a little gummy snack, baby. That's why I love to have
hit that piece. Mid-sode. Yeah, I mean,
I had to get a little juice up. I I didn't know that I was gonna be. See, did you notice when I tried to mute myself because I didn't want to be smacking the gummy on the mic? I accidentally muted you, but I didn't mean to do that. And so yeah, if I hadn't got the sun I got to where I have a little bit more color, I'm trying to get as dark as I possibly can. I would probably be really red right now because I was not expecting you to just break it out on me, baby. I didn't need the people to know I'm on a.
Why not? I mean, you already share with the folks. You're a gardener, so I mean, you gotta get to it when you get to it. Ain't
absolutely.
nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely.
Either.
You know, and that's the thing. Like,
why do we?
People do need to remove the shame. It's a legal substance now, and people need to really properly recategorize it as medicinal and as transcendental.
It's not shameful. If anything, it's like, why are we not glorifying this thing that allows access to play for people, for parents, for families?
It's a miracle. It's a miracle that it's available, you know.
With the caveat that it's not for everybody. So I'm one of those folks that it's not for.
Yeah, and that's it's a travesty. Okay. I mean, you like the you have found your thing with the psychedelic, you know, with the psilocybin.
Yes, absolutely.
In small doses, and that works. People got to find their own thing,
and
even if it's, you know, whatever that may be, explore, experiment till you find something that really works for you.
Yeah.
I guess why I felt a little bit embarrassed in that moment is because it's not. Is it noon yet? Typically, I mean,
really?
Who knows? For each person, let it be. Whenever it is that you need to call upon that thing, call upon it.
And it's like a microdose, no? Right? Like a.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not a microdose.
Oh, okay. See, this is how I just know I'm not cut out for like that kind of dosage of. We'll probably, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how life evolves. But at this point, I can't take a dose of the marijuana because it's just it's very potent. I always wonder how people can just get to it throughout the day after having some MJ.
Yeah, I wonder that too, because I'm not typically one of those people. Like every now and then, if I'm in a celebratory mood or if I'm feeling a little festive, I might get down before noon. Very rarely. In this instance, where it's like I pretty much got everything I need to do done, and I'm doing something that doesn't require me to really like have hyper focus.
Right,
You know
because
what I mean?
it's really like it's a space where you're allowing in creativity and more like flow,
More of
right?
the flow
Like
state.
the flow state. Yeah, I could totally see how this could like having some marijuana at that time would be a good thing because it's going to increase your level of creativity and access to that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I try to be as mindful and intentional of it of when I partake. But there's also times where I'm just like, it just I'm drawn to it now. I'm just gonna
It is what it is.
just partake and see where it goes,
Mhm.
and not think too much about it. I've been like a regular. I've been someone who's been sitting with marijuana since I was like 12. You
Mhm.
know, way earlier than I would advise for anyone. But it's been a part of my almost my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, so at
Mhm.
this point, it's like part of me.
Were you really 12?
When I first started, the first joint I ever smoked, I was 12 years old.
12
Yeah,
years old.
12. Didn't know how to inhale. I
Mm.
was in Fountain Square, Indianapolis, Indiana, and we were there for a few years.
Fountain Square sounds like the hood for some reason.
It was.
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird, it was almost like a mix of white and black hood.
Uh-huh.
Like it was a
Yeah.
lot of white allies up in there who
Mhm.
was, just down and out, very, very low income neighborhood.
Mhm.
But so we had, so much freedom because none of our parents were overseeing anything.
Mhm.
All kind of freedom to just roam the streets, do what we want to do.
Mhm.
And so my homie Michael Myers' dad grew weed. Whoa, I guess the statute of limitations is over now, and we have no reason to
Yeah.
be concerned about busting people out.
Yeah.
So that was it. Anyway. So yeah, that was when we were like in someone's backyard. They just had rolled up ones, spread it around, and then yeah, I had no idea how to. No one had ever actually taught me how to inhale. So like Bill Clinton's excuse of I did not inhale was actually accurate in that moment. So the influences were there. I was around. I was spent like the first 7-8 months of my life on this planet in my mom's belly in Jamaica when they were living there. And so I was around all kind of weed. My mom was smoking weed for a lot of my pregnancy, I'm pretty sure. So again, from like inception, it's been a part of my life.
Yeah.
And it's been a healthy part of my life. There has been times where it's gotten out of hand and I've allowed myself to just overindulge. Like I think anyone can overdo it on anything.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally I think there's a possibility, like the capability of being addicted or like over consuming anything. And like it doesn't just have to be like something that's marked as a certain type of substance, but literally anything. Like I remember listening to this podcast where a professor was talking about like her addiction to like reading romance novels. It had really gotten to a place where she was over reading to a point where she was neglecting multiple other things in her life that actually needed to get done. So it's even something like silly like that. Like it really, if it's having an impact on what else you're able to do in your life, or like attending to your work or your family or your other like habits that you need to do to take care of yourself, then that's likely leaning on the space of addiction or overconsumption of that thing.
Facts.
But yeah, let's get into our next topic. So Amani, this is an interesting idea.
What's that, baby?
However, I would still like to bring it up. What couple superpowers do you think that we have? I think we have a multitude.
What do you mean by that?
So, what special powers do you think we have as a duo? Like special powers that we are able to access just because we've been together for nearly 10 years. And like this could be like things that you just notice about us that makes us a good duo.
There's a lot. The first one that comes to mind is the ability to manifest things, to really, when we are like perfectly aligned on something that we really are able to get in a space where we feel like we have it, we want it so bad that we can enter into the space of like experiencing what it will feel like when we have it. And then even just our conversations that bring us into more and more clear definition of something we want to attain. or create or manifest or like something that we've never done before that we want to really invent a way to do it. We have an uncanny ability to make those things happen. We've seen it show up more and more, and sometimes it's kicked us in the butt and bit us in the butt when we haven't been as clear as we should have been, and we got exactly what we asked for, but we didn't have the clarity and the sort of like the
fine
preciseness enough, right?
Nature of
right.
it. Yes, and there's one that popped right up into my mind that we will not get into today. However, maybe further along in the podcast we can talk a little bit more about that. I think that would be something potentially interesting to bring people in on. However, yes, if you are not, what we learned through that process is that you have to fine tune those manifestations down to the very specific detail of how you want this thing to come up in your life and how you want to be able to engage in and receive said thing. These details need to be explicit. Like we have realized that as master manifestors in our relationship, that those each word matters, because we have seen things happen for us that we have written the detail of and received exactly that. So if there's one detail that is off, and say you don't actually want that thing, that could likely happen. So it's just important to be able to be very specific about what we want and what we call in. But I'd agree, we are master manifestors together.
You know.
And then another thing that I was thinking about was one of our superpowers together would have to be reading each other's like body language, because we're able to be just really efficient together in terms of just what we need to do together, and then also what we need to do as parents. Like we can just kind of read what the other needs. There doesn't have to be so much language there. I mean, sometimes it's necessary, but
sure,
like spoken language is necessary.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
A lot of times, but there are just a lot of times where I'm able to recognize what needs to be done based on maybe a certain energy that I feel, or a certain like if we're in like a public space together and you need some help with something, whether that's just like picking up a bag or you know, taking indigo for 10 minutes or something. Like it's just like those kind of things. I feel like I can very much intuit, and just like I'm able to do that because I can read your needs pretty easily through eye contact, through energy, body language.
It's so true. We're attuned to a degree that we really feel when there's some sort of disruption in the harmony of the other person's field, because I feel it in mine, and I think you do as well. There's a sensitivity and an attunement where we just know what the quality of energy is like when there's harmony, and then what the quality of energy is like when there's a closure of the heart space, or of just like whatever it is, an anxious state.
But I wasn't even talking about just that. I'm just talking about like just like a need in the moment. Like say we're out and about and we're at the grocery store, and this is more like simplified, like not necessarily like thinking about into, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm talking about something different, which is like when say we're grocery shopping and we're with Indigo, and you're trying to select a bag of carrots out of a few different options, and she's there doing who knows all the number of things that she does, dancing, singing, doing a play, making friends. And I can read in that moment that you need to be able to focus. And so maybe I'll entice Indigo to come over to me to do something. So that's what I'm talking about. Like I can read that language. I can anticipate, and I can read that language from you. Like you don't need to necessarily tell me that out loud.
Yeah. It's like you know where I'm going. You know what a certain trigger is going to signal to me, and you know how to like get ahead of that, as do I for you. It's why when we travel, it's like a work of art. Like the efficiencies, the like, oh, you get that, I know she's got those things, I'm doing these, laid out, how things are just clicking. It's like clockwork.
Yes.
You know, there's something beautiful about the way that we can pack. We can like, it's just we've been thrust into so much logisting together that we have this ability to really like just get shit done.
Yes, it's smooth
fast.
like butter, baby.
You know,
and that's
it
that
feels
comes with
good.
time.
It
That
feels
comes with
good,
time.
crispy, and still
Crispy,
remaining crispy throughout. You know,
yeah.
and we show up. We got our luggage, indigos in tow with carrying nothing.
Carrying nothing,
Just a stuffy,
mind you.
but still striding out. Just she's
Just
able to
good.
be in that child space because we. So we know we won't big ourselves up too much, but that's definitely one. But now, what's the other side of it? Is the other question. Okay, so if we have superpowers, what would be kryptonite? You know, what would be that thing that just takes us out emotionally, or what's that thing that, you know, upon its entrance into the moment, all of a sudden things are just haywire. It's like, oh, it's meltdown time now. Do you have one of those that comes to mind?
Between you and I, or
You could give me individually or between you and I, either way, because either both kind of affect our relationship in a way.
okay. That might take me a second to think about. Is there one that's popping
It's
into your
nothing
mind?
like specific. Well, yeah, like sometimes when we broach the topic of like, you know, like Costa Rica, where we're going to live, like future plans, I think, because we have, while we have values and a lot of things that are aligned, we also have a different idea of how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think when I consider like our approach to planning, maybe I can distill it down to that, as far as like, I am one who will say things like, I know that the invisible supply exists, and I'll rely on my knowing that things are going to fall into place beyond what I plan. Whereas you are someone who likes to know the entire path, and A, B, C, D, all the way through to Z, and that's comforting to you. And so when we try to make shared plans that involve both of us from these two completely different positions and viewpoints, then we enter into immediate reactivity and conflict.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, great one. Yeah. That would be absolutely true. I'm much more of a like, I am also very much an initiator when it comes to planning and organizing. So I'm going to take the uncomfortable beginning step to do the thing. Like I'm ready to do that thing. And I think what's kryptonite for me, it can be your more slower approach to those things.
Yeah.
Because you do like urgency is not in your vocabulary.
Doesn't exist.
And that is just even saying that out loud, like I don't think I've admitted that to myself, even despite how much it has triggered
until
me
it
over the
does.
years.
That's the problem. Like I'm not gonna lie. This is this is a perfect example of where it's a shared kryptonite and an individual one for me, because I don't care about plans typically. Like it's not that I don't care about them. I know how important they are. I really actually deeply benefit from making structure in my day. I'm just so incredibly averse to it. It feels so unnatural to me, and it honestly at times feels completely counterproductive and maybe destructive to what I want to happen. And it can be that way too if you try to do, or if you can overplan beyond productivity and beyond effectiveness. And so to me, there's like a balance that where we give each other a really great. So maybe we've turned and alchemized, transmuted that into a superpower, because while the initial reaction is typically wrought with frustration and reactivity and chaos, and now we're arguing for a little while, eventually what we come to is like, it's probably why we've been able to achieve so much together. We come to like this ability to blend styles, and I, whether you like it or not, influence you, and you, whether I like it or not, influence me.
It's absolutely true. Like I think I have learned to, it's increased my level of patience with you in those interactions, because there are certain things where I need your involvement, and so I can't just do the thing by myself. If I could, I would do like all the things. That's like more of my kind of more hyper independence in terms of like, if like logistic wise, if I could do all the logisticking, like all the things that require like a contract or like filling out.
That wouldn't be right though.
But I'm saying like, if I could though, I would. So I'm just saying like, I can't though. And that's
right.
That's one
For
thing.
For one, you can't. And you shouldn't.
I'm a highly independent person though. So that's what I'm saying is like, there are things like that where when I have to involve another person, it can be in and of itself
I see what
frustrating.
you're saying. I see what
because
you're
now
saying.
I have to move on their timeline.
Right. Just
So
the
when
case. Right. Not even with
can't
just
move
me.
on my own.
It's
No.
like even with the case in point where you have something after this pod immediately with the coworker, and instead of just like trying to figure out a way to where you could make the time to collaborate with her, you just send her a message and said, I'm just going to do it by myself.
Yes.
Just
yes,
never mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Just-
Never mind.
it's
Because
done. Just
yeah,
consider it
I'm
done.
just know that
Yeah,
the work is going to get
that's
done.
just see for yourself from an objective viewpoint, if you can, and take this with a grain of salt. Like that's not a good strategy.
Yeah, I
It's not
know
a good way.
all the time. It's not in a lot of ways. But one thing I will say is that I get things done.
Of course.
I do that, and I see the benefit of that. But I can also see how if I am more collaborative, then it allows for like help. I can
Right.
get
You
help
can get
and
more
assistance.
done. Then you can get even more done.
More done, but over a longer period of time.
Right. Remember
Like,
the African proverb: if you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to
True.
go far, go
Go
together.
together.
And
For
I'm
sure,
sure,
for sure.
that's a paraphrase, but there's truth into it.
But then also tell yourself that too sometimes, baby. Like think about like if there were a potential time that you wanted to go fast, maybe you could consider that here and there.
Sometimes you need speed.
You
It's
do,
true.
yeah.
And this is where I was getting from an individual standpoint when I don't have someone like you kind of bailing me out with the initiation of the planning when it comes to me, or even just like getting on the ball to get up and make a timeline that I've already agreed to being. Like I'm just habitually late, and I don't always necessarily want that to be an attribute that I uphold for myself. Because mainly because it, especially in this society, it communicates something, whether I like it or not, of respect to the other people involved with that, who have shared that time commitment and have done whatever they need to make it. So for me, where it ends up getting me in trouble is I will invoke sonic speed at the last minute when there's 5 minutes left. And then what you see is a blur, Amani blur
Yes.
around, zooming around the whole wherever.
Yeah.
And I always arrive on time. That's the crazy part. Whatever time I arrive, I'm on time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing. That's where I find the balance.
Yeah, I feel you, baby. Okay, yeah, we have different ways of going about this.
The other
and-
one, so the other one with the superpower. Oh wait, no, this was a different thing. And I wanted to talk about this too with you, baby, which is like where, I don't think we even wrote it down in our list, but where each other, like where a weak spot for me can be filled in by you. That's one of them for sure. Like creating structure and creating like a plan. Those things are I'm not gonna lie, are incredibly valuable. It helps me so much to have that, and it's not even just you that I lean on. There's other people who have influenced me positively with that, and so for you, the other one I just had to bring up is around like your own individual. I don't want to point out your kryptonites, but I'm going to, which is around directions.
Yeah, navigation.
And navigation. Because there was a statement that was made on the way in here that was just like cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Like where in the world did someone have it in their mind to say something like this? Which was, what was the direct quote? I wrote it down because it was.
Pull it on
see,
up.
Let me see what it was.
I kind of realized.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this woman said to me, upon entry into this building where we are now, I have too much on my mind, because she didn't know where we were. She didn't know like this was the building, and had I not said, yeah, this is it, she would have walked right past it. And so she was like, I have too much on my mind to think about where I'm going. To me, you have too much on your mind to think about where you're going. What is more important in the moment while you're traveling somewhere than knowing where it is you're going? And somehow that added up. That formula added up and clicked to the point where you wanted to verbalize that.
There you
What
go.
does that mean?
It just means like I'm thinking about all, like maybe I'm thinking potentially about the thing I'll be doing when I get there, and I'm also thinking about what I have to do what I just left, what I was just working on.
Right.
So
But
that's
getting
all,
there is irrelevant.
that's
Whether you
not,
get there
no,
or not, to
that's
do the
not,
things you're thinking about
no,
may or may
may
not.
or may not happen. Who knows? But
So
yeah,
it's not a rational thought.
it's one of those
just
things where when I'm with you, I know that you know where we're going.
okay.
I don't have to consider it.
And I love that. I
you know,
I
it's one
definitely
less
get it. It's a
thing.
huge ego boost for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Feeling like this is this
Is
way.
the building.
You know, we, as dads, the pocket, we got to know the things we can do. We got to stick to those. You know, as men even too, there's only a small kind of bandwidth of things we can really be effective and helpful to the world in. We want to amplify those as much as we can.
True.
And navigation,
It's
at least
massive.
for me, is a big one.
Yeah, it is a
You
big one,
know.
and it's actually really important. Like you said, like I think I don't realize the importance of that because I do rely on technology a lot, and then when I'm with you, I'm relying on you. So I'm not recording where I'm going. I just know that I will show up. It just won't be by my own, like.
And hey, to shoot you some bail, you probably planned it to where, well, not nowadays because you spent too much time with me being late. But if you were by yourself, you would have been 10 minutes early. So you could have asked 3 to 4 to 5 people for directions when you got turned around, if you needed to.
Yeah, if my phone like didn't work and I needed the help. Oh yeah, I'm asking everyone.
Okay. So I think we have a good idea of our superpowers there. What else we got here before we wrap up with the folks?
Let's see. What do we have going on? I think that's all we have for today. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about your Reiki certification program?
Yeah. So just like we talked about last week, stay tuned, y'all, for the dates. They're going to be coming up. We're going to revise the dates most likely. But ahead, we have a Reiki Level 1 certification program, Shoden. And it's going to be a virtual event. It's going to be a chance, an opportunity for folks to come partake in some age-old wisdom and learn techniques to help you really come into remembrance of your own innate capacity as a self-healer. And so that's brought to you by myself and my company Still Lotus and Shakti Creates. And so that will be, stay tuned for the dates on that. That will be a beautiful occasion, and you will not want to miss it, y'all. So we have that coming up. That's the Radiant Reiki Academy as well. There's going to be something dropping soon here, and it's going to be in the realm of fitness. And Malika and I are putting together something that we're calling Movement Alchemy. And basically what this is, I'll just give you all a quick synopsis of it. I was running on the north side over here and where I used to live, where I spent a lot of years in really dark moments in my life, deeply depressed and just in trouble with the law and things like that, and eventually moved out of there and was able to rise above some of those circumstances. But I went back on a run there the other day just to some of those old stomping grounds where I would be, and I was in this really high state from running. Just the natural endorphins from rigorous exercise were coursing through me, and I started to reflect on, due to the scenery, aspects of really traumatic moments in my life that took place there. And because I was in such a heightened state, it was like where those memories would typically close me off and make me feel very like lower energy and would decrease my energy and maybe even put me into a funk. I was already so activated that when I started to remember those things that would typically be triggering, that literally the same thoughts fueled me, and they gave me like this untapped energy and this like limitless source of fuel, where all the things that were bothering me back then that I could easily dip back into mentally got transmuted into just pure fuel for the workout. And so what we're going to do is put together a workout video for y'all. It'll be posted on the Still Lotus YouTube channel, and we'll be guiding through some simple exercises where we incorporate releasing some of the limiting beliefs or traumatic ruminations of your mind through movement, through exercise, because God knows if there's anything in my own healing journey that's been a cornerstone of that's really helped me maintain stability and joy and wellness and wholesomeness, it's movement and exercise and regularly doing that. And so we would just want to encourage that for the people, for the listeners as much as possible, and stay tuned for that ahead. Thank you all for your presence. Baby, you got anything else on the docket? Anything else you want to touch on? Any last words for the folks?
That's all I got for today. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Raw Love
Hey,
Podcast.
y'all, it's Raw Love, everybody.
Peace.
Thank y'all. Peace, peace,
See you
peace,
next
peace,
time.
peace.